Do you now have your judges registry? It's time to take the next steps. Hey, welcome back to our judging series. Today we're going to go over how to build rubrics and then how to build rounds and why those two things are important. We're going to give you some tips and tricks, and then we're also going to show you how to set up test accounts so that you can see how these things are working on your end. Let's get started. Of course, the eye has a branch to get you to rubrics and rounds, but I'm going to go through judging and then scroll down to judging setup. Real quick before we get into rounds and rubrics, this info page gives you a place where you can write a message to your judges. This message appears on the top when the judges enter the judging portal. You can click into this box and write any message that you want to give to your judges. You will just want to make sure that this box with judging is checked and then click to save. Navigate back to the top here and we'll click on rubric first. Why? Because when you set up your rounds, you will also want to select your rubric. And so creating the rubric first makes it easier to set up your rounds. Depending on your fare, you may have ISEF rubrics already preloaded. If you don't need these, you can remove them by clicking the pencil icon in settings and then delete rubrics. There is a copy icon on here as well so that you can keep the original but have the ability to make changes to it as well without deleting any of the original content. So click into the create a rubric plus sign here. And then to make a new rubric, give your rubric a new name and select if you want this to be your default rubric. Make sure you click the save up by the title to save your title and your settings. Then click into add judging category. Now you want to give your judging category a title and then the weight out of 100% that you want this category to carry. You can put a sort number in what order you want this category to appear. You can apply it if it only applies to team entries and then save it. Next, you want to add an assessment to the category. Give the assessment a name. And then you can offer a description for your judges to help them evaluate what score they're going to give their participants. Put in your sort order for when you want to see this question appear in your assessment. Next, you want to pick the score display type. Most common is having a number to score with. We do have other options. Just reach out to us if you would like these other options and we can work with you to get them set up. Otherwise, then you want to pick a range for your score. I'm going to do 1 through 5. You can pick whether it shows 1 through 5 or 5 through 1. You can have an option that allows the judges to pick not applicable, and then it just won't count that score altogether. Or you can pick that this score represents a penalty assessment, and instead of adding points, it's going to remove points. You can select the assessment weight if this question is going to be worth more points within its category than any other particular assessment. So if you have multiple assessments and this one's going to carry more weight, you're going to want to put your assessment weight in. Otherwise, it's just going to default. Then you're going to put save. And now your assessment has been added to your category. So looking at another rubric, you want your weights to all add up to 100%. So make sure that each of your weights then equal 100%. If they do not, just click on the edit and you can change your category weights to add up to 100. Next, we're going to add custom questions. I'm going to go back to our original rubric to do that. You click on custom questions up at the top, and then you want to click add new. If you try filling in these fields without clicking add new, it's not going to save any of your information. So click add new so it recognizes you're adding a new question, and then you can add in your question. Once you add your question, you can add what response type it is, true or false, text multiple lines, etc. And then what you want to put here in the question column name is the name you want it to appear in your reports. So you can name it whatever you want. Just make sure that you recognize that this is the question that you've asked and the response will be given below it. Of course, you always have a sort order to see which order this question should appear in. You can ask if it's required or not. You can also ignore this question and it's just not shown to your users or your judges. Make sure you save your custom question and then it should appear here on your left. If it does not, go through that process again and you can add another question. Quick comments, really quick. Quick comments are just a really easy click for your judges to insert comments on your project. So you just start by adding a category, whichever category name you want to give it. You can add subcategories to that if you want, and then you click add comment. So the category, you're going to pick one that you just did the assignment, and then you're going to type in the comment. Then the sort number that you want. You can add multiple comments to the categories. And these will appear at the bottom of the judging rubric where the judges can make comments on particular aspects that they are judging. Quick comments and custom questions do not have a numerical value and are not counted in the overall score. However, these can be reviewed for scoring considerations, and also these can be shared with contestants as feedback. Now that we have a rubric, we can set up our rounds. Start by clicking the plus sign on Create a Round. Now, most of these settings affect how assignments are made to the judges, so make sure you read through them carefully. Start with giving your round a name. The value of your round lets you choose what percentage of the contestant's final score comes from this round. So this percentage should be out of 100. Check these boxes if you'd like to use judge groups to make assignments for this round. And if you would like to allow the judges to be able to request more assignments, just make sure when you check these boxes and extra fields appear, you fill in the fields. Make sure you select your rubric that you want assigned to this round and put the times each project should be judged. The scheduling section is important, especially for setting interview times. Check the box if you are scheduling interviews and set up your interview length. So how long do you want your interview to be? 10 minutes. Add a buffer if you want a buffer in between interviews. And then if you want to lock the scores after a certain amount of time so judges can't go back in and change those scores. Judging starts, opens, breaks, and closes are especially important to set. Then that way when you have your automatic interviews being scheduled, it will pick between those times. The filter section will filter the round with the filter types that are set below. If you would like to apply filters, make sure this box is checked. Judge tags are important if you want this round to only be viewed by certain judges. So if those judges have a particular tag, you can select that tag and only judges with that tag will be able to see this round. You can continue to add filters for projects, so only projects with the categories or the division or the tags will be in this round. You can also, if you have it set up in your settings, to only allow projects that are approved for judging. Those that were selected, approved for judging, will only show up in this round. You can also sort by previous rounds. So if you have a round before this round and scoring has already been done, then you can choose the previous round, choose a score type and then type in what the minimum score is eligible to fit within this round. And then you want to save your changes. We always recommend setting up test accounts for both judges and participants. This way, you can test to see how your registrations and especially how judging is set up. You can quickly create these accounts by clicking on the eye and searching for test, and then clicking on create test accounts. These test accounts all populated 5 at a time. You can add as many test accounts as you want, but you probably won't need more than 5 of each to test your setups. After you have your test account set up, go ahead and go into judging and check out how your rounds and rubrics look. So click into any of your rounds here, any of your participants, and now you can see how your questions look. You can see if you need to make changes to your descriptions or if you need to add additional questions, etc. Thank you all for joining us again this week. Next week, we're going to talk about how to assign your judges with entries and projects. So join us again, and we'll see you all later. Bye.